Hello everybody, I'm back, and I don't know, just I'm still going through this phase of, first of all, trying to relax after, I've been like sick for 2 months, so that was really insane, and then also take a break from work and just chill a little, and then when you just kind of detach, you unplug your electricity, then kind of the depression hits you, and then you just go like all like whoa. So going through that, and while I'm going through that, been thinking about something. They posted the photo of it's a photo, but I've read several articles about it, about the black hole that's been photographed. I don't know how many trillion gazillion light years away from us, and read a lot of articles about the fact that it's not really a photo, it's the kind of radioactive waves or whatever that kind of contribute to creating a simulation. I mean, it took them many years and a lot of different telescopes in the unification of the whole world of all the scientists to create that foggy little thing of an image, which is sort of an illusion, because a black hole can't be photographed because it's black, it's invisible, it's not there, it's not that it's invisible, it's absence of everything. So that thing in the middle of the so-called donut, the thing that we don't see, is the black hole. So the illusion of seeing the black hole is created by all of the gases and dusts and cosmic dusts and gases and everything that's being pulled within it that create that spirally yellowy gooey effect. That's the stuff being sucked into that center part, which is non-existent. I mean, well, it is, I guess, scientifically. I don't know, you could debate it if it exists or not. It does, but in a way it apparently can't be photographed because it's absence of everything. Okay, so of course, scientists out there, if any scientist is watching, you will correct me, and I'm totally ignorant in this respect. I don't know much about astrophysics in general, but I would like to kind of grasp the concept of it. And one of the first times I was ever confronted with the concept of any sort of space outside of just the childish belief that we're going to fly to the moon one day. Well, technically, have we flown to the moon in the 60s? We don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. But anyway, so this is the thing. Stanley Kubrick, my first 2001 Space Odyssey was my first approach to space from a different point of view, like a perspective of life in a different way, existence in different dimensions at the same time. I mean, it blew me away. It blew my mind when I saw Space Odyssey the first time, and ever since I've been in love with it. So, but I've been asking myself this question. So if humanity still exists the day that our sun dies, will the sun turn into a black hole, or is it too small for that? It might have a different name, whatever it turns into when it starts dying. It might be a little mini black hole. And then all life on Earth will perish. But of course, the question that I ask myself is, how long because I don't believe that humans, or I don't know, maybe some sort of living creatures might exist up until the point of no return when the sun kind of starts dying or dies. But if humans still exist by then, where will we be? Will we be? And if we will be, where will we be? Makes you feel kind of small. It makes you like totally, relativity in that respect. Everything is so relative. Everything becomes so futile in a way. You're struggling to pay the rent. You're thinking whether or not, if you are on social media, whether or not a selfie you posted looks good enough or not. You're worried about if you ate one popcorn too many at the movies the other night because it might affect your weight. All these stupid things, these superficial things, when the bigger picture is so much more relevant, and everything right now is so irrelevant and so non-important. So that photo of the black hole that kind of was posted and is considered already by many to be the photo of the century makes you really just bring everything back. Similar thing happens to me every time I fly. When I look at, you know, when I'm flying over oceans or water, it's different. You have less of a perspective, but over land, when you're flying over land, and you see, I don't know, you see houses, you see structures of cities. If you're really that high, you don't really see houses anymore, but you see humanity building and expanding on planet Earth, and you kind of, everything feels so tiny and everything feels so irrelevant in a way. It seems just, the further away you step away from it, the more you get a perspective of it from a distance, and the more you realize how we get stuck up and hooked to tiny small problems, and they become so big to us, and they become so, in our minds, irresolvable, that we just kind of keep on falling in this precipice of a sort of a loop where we're just repeating the same questions over and over again without finding the answer, and it kind of bothers us. It keeps stressing us, and then that leads to all sorts of dysfunctions, bodily and physical. There you go, the kappas, the fuzz, and then you end up kind of being sort of depressed, I guess, which is kind of something that happens to me. I am often in my head, and I'm really very much in my head space, and I kind of keep regurgitating the same. I don't know, YouTube has come to a point where you can't even say certain words anymore, so let's just spell it out. Regurgitating the same shit. And oh, another thing that really, you know, social media is really coming to a point where I'm just so annoyed by. Just today I figured out, you know, I'm also a big fan of horror movies and the horror community, and I have other things and projects that I'm working on on the side that I've tried once with Mr. Ad Friendly with you guys. You got really scared, and so I had to make a different channel for that. So I do have other platforms that I'm working on where I talk about other topics as well. But anyway, so basically what happened, I figured out now, apparently it's happened, I don't know if today or a really short while ago. What Instagram just did is they did not ban the hashtag horror, but if you look up horror from now on, you click on the hashtag horror if you're into horror movies, like I am, and a warning appears. So before they show you photos related to that hashtag, they literally just tell you, you know, you might be suicidal. Get help. Click here for help. Because this hashtag means you might be seeing stuff that can lead you to manipulating you into harming yourself. That's ridiculous. And again, this is the point where, and you know, Instagram is Facebook. They're gaining more and more control over our lives in such a disgusting way, and it just really makes me so angry. Because first of all, who are they to decide for you what you can digest or not digest? First of all. Second of all, mind your own business. You know, Instagram and Facebook, you do not care about us. You only care about your sponsors. You only care about the money that they keep giving you. So don't sell me that crap. When I want to look up a hashtag that says horror, you're telling me, oh, look for help. Here's a link to find help. We can help you. Or, you know, you don't care. What, you're going to pay my bill, the psychiatrist or psychologist? You don't care. So just mind your own freaking business. If I want to look up hashtag horror, let me look up the freaking hashtag horror. Without having to pass through that panel that tells me, oh, there's probably something wrong with you if you're looking up that hashtag. How dare you? Who are you? Who gives you the right? Anyway, if ever there was a reason to sue them, I think this could be one. So let's unite. If anybody has any ideas, any lawyers out there who think that this is a lawsuit, goddamn, it's about time. And this political correctness, I've been saying this in so many, oh my God, here I am going on a rant. You see what I mean? We started off with a black hole in the bigger picture. Now we're back to the nitty gritty. We're back to this kind of ridiculousness of a hashtag annoying me. This is the problem. We get locked into these patterns where we try to break out bigger picture, and then we kind of fall back and we kind of collapse within ourselves, and then again we have the same issue all over again. Here I am rambling on about a hashtag. Fine. True. But I also have to say, it's an important, it's not, the hashtag is not important, but the fact that in a certain way, through this gesture, a part of our freedom is taken away from us. And it's so frustrating. And it just keeps expanding like a tumor, like a cancer. There's this control that these corporations are having over us, and how much they're kind of like locking us in more and more. It's just disgusting, and it's vile. And it really, really, in many ways, doesn't make me want to film anymore for this platform. Now, some of you have been telling me, oh, Dacob, start your own platform, you know, start your own thing, your own website. But then again, even there you have rules. You can't just post whatever you want on your own website, because your own website needs some sort of, you have to pay for it, buy it. It has to be on some sort of server somewhere. Something has to, you know, again, you're connected to certain rules, and you can't just do whatever you want. And you know me, I'm not saying now you should be able to do whatever you, I'm not talking about real hazards, you know, the bad stuff. Of course, certain things should not be allowed, definitely. Everything has to be connected to love and acceptance, for sure. But then again, I repeat, if something as a horror movie is interesting to you, it fascinates me. The aesthetic of it really does fascinate me. And it has nothing to do with self-harm. It just has to do with so many other ideas, like how the makers come up with, you know, how they solve certain problems to create a certain scene, in terms of how do they deal with solving technically special effects. How do they obtain a certain look, a certain vibe, a certain mood? How do they deal with lights? Because lighting is everything. Which sort of filters do they use to create a more ghoulishy or gory effect? Like, when do they want us to feel more afraid or not? And this is also interesting to analyze, because it's also about manipulation. It has a lot to do with manipulation of the senses and how you perceive things. So horror movies to me are interesting as a study platform. I love to observe them because they teach me so much also about manipulation and about fear. Now, avoiding the fact that there is such a thing as fear in our lives would be ridiculous. Fear is a part of our life. We can learn to deal with it or not deal with it. We can either, you know, accept that it's a part of our life, or we could really actively combat, fight against it, to try to never be afraid. But just my tip to you, and I mean, to each his own or her own, you need a bit of fear in your life. A bit of healthy fear is always good, because it creates a positive sort of tension or friction in juxtaposition to the opposite of fear would be some sort of pleasure or feeling happy, I guess. Or, well, carefree. I guess fear is the opposite of carefree. You can't just be carefree all the time. Or fearless. Fearless is the opposite, right? You can't be always fearless, but fearless would also mean to be carefree. You need to also have some sort of awareness of what is happening around you in order to also be able to feel carefree from time to time. You know, you have the ups and the downs. You have the moments in which you realize that there's danger around you. And because you're aware, because you can realize that there's danger around you, you can also realize when there is no danger around you. If all the time you're just living in this bubble where you think there's no danger around you, well, then you're delusional. And that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. So confronting the aspect of existence of fear in our lives is very important to me. Now, I'm not saying that you should definitely always confront your particular fears. Certain fears are so deep-rooted inside of our past, our childhood, our growing up, that you know, it just maybe isn't always healthy to, like, certain things. I'm not saying you should leave them buried, but certain things you gotta touch them when you feel is the right time to touch them, not before. Don't let anybody tell you, you know, confront your fears, do it now, do it now. Well, wait a minute. We all are different. We all have different rhythms. We all have different energies. We all have different needs. We all have different ways of growing and evolving, and we all have a different perception of what we really need and what we really want. So each and every one of us has their own inner clock, and it ticks at its own pace, and you have to follow that pace and that rhythm. So don't let anybody tell you now is the right time to confront your fear. You do it when it's your time, when you feel ready to do it. Otherwise, don't do it. Having said that, in general, the concept of fear per se should be acknowledged by everybody. We should all acknowledge the fact that it exists, and we should all kind of tackle the notion of learning to deal with it. And to me, a big help in that respect is watching horror movies. It really helped me a lot. So that's just my personal point. Anyway, guys, what a weird way to come back after over a month. I will also be doing my top perfumes for April for sure. Love you all so much. Never forget to never give up on love, despite it all, despite all the fear. Love y'all. God, I feel like an old lady. Like, yeah, never forget to never give up on love. Okay, whatever. Love y'all. Bye.